Jim Nantz of CBS Sports is at Augusta National Golf Club. This is his 31st year calling the Masters on CBS. Jim, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie, Gail, Nora. That is pretty great. It's one of my favorite moments of the year is watching the tournament to get started with all that history on the first tee.
Okay, so this is the 80th Masters. It's a bit cold and windy. What are you looking for this year in the 80th?
Well, this tournament has a way of really kind of writing the script and setting the stage for the entire year in golf. Last year, no one was really saying this was going to be Jordan Spieth's tournament. And he went out on Thursday, shot 64, never let go of the lead. In fact, went all the way to record-setting performance at 18 under par, tied Tiger's tournament record, and established himself as the next great thing in the game. You know, he went and backed it up winning the U.S. Open. And, you know, we're in a really interesting time for the sport. You know, it's a time where we've got a lot of mega talents, young kids who can really play the game from all over the globe. So the expansion of the popularity of the sport, it's an amazing thing to see. And it's led by this young brigade, all ready to pounce on this first major of the year.
So is there a crowd favorite? I'm very smitten with Bubba Watson. I like Jordan Spieth too, but really smitten about that Bubba. Is there a crowd favorite out there?
You know, I think Phil Mickelson is always a very popular guy around here, Gail, because he's won it 3 times and now, you know, he's in his 40s. That doesn't mean he can't play anymore. In fact, he's playing really well. And I'd actually be surprised if he wasn't there on Sunday, right in the middle of things, and he'd have a lot of support. I would say, you know, Phil around here is enormously popular. And Bubba has won this tournament twice in the last 4 years. So Bubba Watson won it again. I think that a lot of people would say, man, that doesn't shock me.
Jim, the #1 player in the world, Jason Day. #2, Jordan Spieth, the defending champ. And I loved what Jordan Spieth said about Jason Day. He said, when Jason's on, he's on, and when he's off, he's still on.
Yeah.
Does he play well at Augusta?
He has finished second here before, Nora, and he won the last major. It's been 8 months since we all gathered in Wisconsin, and he won the PGA Championship and went on an incredible roll. He has an ability, when he gets things going, to kind of look like he can dominate the sport like Tiger did in his prime. But there's another guy, and maybe that's your next question here. This is a guy I think people really got to watch out for this week because it's not generating a lot of talk going in, and that's Rory. Rory McIlroy sat last year for a while on the sidelines. He had an injury. He watched how Jordan Spieth and Jason Day kind of took over the top of the sport. He was never healthy, and he just needs this one major now to complete that career Grand Slam, having won all 4 legs of golf's major championships. That's only happened 5 times by 5 players in the history of the sport, by guys like Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. So Rory McIlroy put himself in the absolute top bracket all time. He'd be up there with those iconic names if he won this week. And I think that's the guy I'm watching more than anyone.
Yeah, well, the O'Donnell family is always rooting for the guy from Northern Ireland. I can tell you that.
Right.
You're keeping your eye on a 22-year-old amateur as well.
I am. Bryson DeChambeau. He is a young man from the Fresno area in California, and he's a brilliant kid. He's studied engineering at SMU and has this scientific kind of analytical way of approaching the sport, and he has this obsession with trying to win this tournament as an amateur. This tournament was created by the greatest amateur player of all time, Bobby Jones. It was his dream sometime for an amateur to win it. Now, Bryson's going to turn pro right after this ends. You know, he's going to be one of the next great big things in this sport. He has spent the last 6 months of his life focused on this one tournament. He's played in some major events around the world and done very well. He is ready to pounce. We'll see. He's playing with Jordan Spieth. They're going to be playing in about an hour from now, but I can't wait to see what happens.
Will the weather make a difference for any particular players?
It will, because we're going to have wind here, Charlie. You know, it's going to look gorgeous. It's going to be bright and sunny, but the wind here, that's always the X factor in golf, and it's supposed to be very gusty. I know you guys are getting it in New York. We're going to have it here. It could be gusting up to 30 or 40 miles an hour at times. That will dry out the greens. It'll, of course, affect every shot out here. I don't know who that favors, but or who that really could hurt, but that's going to be part of the story here. I think it's going to be really hard to make a lot of birdies. I don't think the scoring is going to be good as we normally see here.
So
how much
for
does
the
a game?
Go ahead. For the second time in 3 years, Tiger Woods isn't going to be there because of health issues, we heard earlier this week. What are you hearing about his return, if anything at all?
He will be back. I mean, I'm absolutely convinced, Gail, he'll be back. He's been, I think, smartly this time, not rushing back to competitive golf. you know, when he's going to come back now, he's going to make sure he's 100% and his body's ready to go. And this is not the last we've heard of him. He's not retiring. He will be back, and I would say that I really truly don't have any insight on how soon it'll be. But he's hitting drivers, he's hitting the big clubs in the bag, and I would say some point this summer would be my guess that he'll be back in competition. It'd be great to have him back.
Jim Nantz, thank you so much. CBS
you,
Sports
guys.
coverage of the
All the
Masters
best.
tournament begins Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 Central. That's right here on CBS.